What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Dub Jellison Podcast. Today I have UFC Featherweight Grant Dawson with me. Grant, how you doing, man?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yep, for sure. Thanks for coming on. So we're kind of in the midst of this whole pandemic. I think we're kind of at the tail end of it. But how have you been handling it personally?
Man, not a lot has changed for me, honestly. Had to spend a couple of weeks training in my garage, but other than that, I didn't miss a single day of training. I don't really like to go out. I don't really do a whole lot with friends. So, being locked up in my house with my girlfriend and then training twice a day still. So pretty much everything's the same for me.
Mm-hmm. So what all did your guys' gym do during this thing? How did they kind of operate?
I think we closed down for the allotted amount of time, but some of us were still meeting up there, keeping it under 10. From our understanding was in our town that we were at, they said that as long as we have less than 10 people and it's not open to the public, we were okay. So that's kind of what we did, kept it about 5 or so people. Doors were locked, couldn't open it to the public, but we got our training in, and we're actually open for business now, 100%, and things are booming. So it's like you said, it's getting back to normal, and I just can't wait for everything to go back to the way it was.
Mm-hmm. I saw Kraus did an interview, and he said that some of the guys were kind of working on stuff to improve the gym. Did you guys do anything like that?
Yeah, we're we did some renovations and stuff like that. I think the biggest thing is still to come. I think what they're planning on renovating like the whole north side of it or something like along those lines, and then the parking lot needs to be patched up, and I think that's where they're going next. That's a him thing. I just show up and train.
Mm-hmm. So who all was at the gym when you were there, helping you train for your upcoming fight?
I got my man Kevin Kroom. He's my main training partner. Me and him didn't miss a single day. We've been just training together every day, twice a day since this whole thing started and before. I got my best friend John O'Brien. He's a young pro, undefeated 155er, big, strong. Basically, it's been the three of us, and then obviously James has come in and helped a lot too. But it's been us, and then a couple of younger amateur guys have come in just to get some looks in.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys do anything differently when you were at home or compared to at the gym?
Man, when we were at home, we basically just rolled. There wasn't really a practice going on. It was just live goes, break a sweat, keep it sharp. But I got to tell you, I'm really glad that we are back to the practice, portion of it. James is running things. It's structured, and it's not just crazy us, what we feel. It's coach says do something and we do it.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Are you guys approaching this fight any differently than past fights?
Man, my game plan pretty much always stays the same. Punch them more times than they punch me, get more takedowns, score more points. I would say that I'm more on a defensive scale. Like, what are we looking defensively for him? Don't step your head here, don't push here. But everything stays the same for me. I'm trying to put a pace on people, take them down, beat them up until they quit.
Do you have any I forgot what I was going to say. How do you feel about going to Abu Dhabi? I know this is pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, man, I've never fought outside the country before. I've been outside the country 4 fights, just not my own. I'm really not excited about a 21-hour flight, but I'm actually hoping that with the pandemic, there will be less people on the plane, and maybe I can lay down, if I can lay down, it won't be so bad. But last time I left the country, I had to sit between 2 really heavy-set gentlemen, and it was very uncomfortable and crouched. But yeah, other than that, man, I'm super excited. Abu Dhabi is the richest city in the world, and so it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be beautiful, Lamborghinis left and right, and I can't wait for that.
Are you guys going to do any preparation in terms of sleeping at different times before you guys leave, or getting there a little bit early to get acclimated to the time zone?
Yeah, man, we're going to go up a little bit early. They normally bring us out like 5 days early, I believe. I think we're going to go 10 days early just to really kind of get that set. But, there are downsides to that. If you go early, you're taking away from your regular training. So It's really a timing thing that we need to get down. And I think 10 days was what we were talking about. But we'll see what happens.
And then it's also really hot there. I remember when it was UFC 242. I think Poirier was talking about how sweaty he was and how much it drained him. Do you have any concerns about that at all, given your fighting style?
Yeah, my teammate Zach Cummings fought on that same card, the one that you're talking about. And he said it was 114 degrees in the locker room, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But no, man, I don't think it's gonna play a difference. I'm used to the heat. I'm used to mugginess. I'm used to fighting in a phone booth. I think it helps me. Anything that I have to go through, my opponent has to go through as well. And I think I'm mentally stronger than everybody in this division. So bring it on. Bring the heat. Bring bring rain, lightning, whatever you want to do. You want to fight in the sandbox? Let's do it. You know, I'm here to fight, and the elements aren't going to get in my way.
I was hoping they'd do an octagon on the beach, but I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to have one out there for training, but not for the actual fights.
Yeah, man, that'll probably be a blessing. We don't want people throwing sand into the cage, but like I said, anywhere you want to do it, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. So, did you prefer Fight Island or did you want to fight at the Apex, or did it not matter to you?
Man, it really doesn't matter to me. I would have liked to have fought before the fight. I'm going to say I would like to fight in the Apex just because you don't have to fly and it's a lot more comfortable there. But once this is all over and I'm heading back, I'm sure it's going to be a great story to tell my kids someday. So, you know, I'm trying to look at things past this, past the flight, the things that I'm not going to remember that are kind of making it crappy. But it really doesn't matter to me. Fighting is fighting, and we're going to get this W, and then we're going to look at bigger and better things after.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think it'll be a great story for everyone involved. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I want them to do like a pay-per-view there once a year, maybe. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool, man. I think that the Khabib card did really, really well up there. It was early here, so the card got over at like 1 o'clock, which was kind of nice. So yeah, I think they will in the future. I really do. I think that, you know, like I said, Abu Dhabi is one of the richest cities in the world, if not the richest. So it's, you know, I think it'd be stupid for them not to go back there.
Mm-hmm. I talked to Punahele Soriano, UFC middleweight, and he was going to go to Abu Dhabi with Khabib, and he said that he wanted that, like Khabib gets all that royal treatment when he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man, he's a hero up there.
Yeah, he's a huge star. I'd like to talk to some people over there and see how big he is compared to, say, like Conor over there, because I think he might be bigger overseas.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that Conor's more well known.
Yeah.
By the not fans, you know, where he's from is a real fighting country. You know, like my mom knows who Conor McGregor is. She probably doesn't know who Khabib Nurmagomedov is. You know, like if you just ask a random person on the street, they're probably going to know who Conor is and not Khabib, which is real sad because Khabib is, in my opinion, the pound for pound best fighter on the planet, even over John Jones. And I always get flack for saying that, but it's what I believe. And pound for pound is so ridiculous anyway that, like, you know, you could put whoever you want up there and you have an argument.
And he's kind of the one that got me into MMA, so I have him at 1. But I mean, it's 1A and 1B in my opinion. They're so close. They're both so great. Doesn't really matter. It's hard to put them against each other. Sure. So you talked about your mom. Did she ever watch any of the cards that you're not fighting on?
I don't think so. I think she only watches mine. She loves it when I fight, and she says she always has fun watching the fights. But I don't think she ever goes out of her way to watch them. Yeah,
I feel like it's a pretty consistent theme, except for maybe like Tyron Woodley's mom. She seems like a hardcore fan.
Yeah, she seems like a sweet lady who can also be crazy at times. That's she's hardcore support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's pretty dope. How do you think fighting with no fans will affect you?
Man, I fought on the Contender Series when you're only allowed to bring 4 people. The Contender Series is pretty big right now. It's almost like an LFA event or a Titan event. So not so much anymore. But when I fought on the Contender Series, there was like maybe 50, maybe less than 50 people there. It was quiet, you know, like nobody was talking, nobody was cheering. So I'm used to it, and I really feel like once I get hit in my nose, I think that I'll forget that there aren't any fans, and I'll get back to business. So I really don't think it's going to play a big effect. The only thing is I'm going to be able to hear my coaches better, which I don't have a hard time doing anyway, but it's going to be like we're talking like you and I are talking right now.
Yeah. Are they more of yellers at all? Because I know I talked to Dean Thomas the other day, and he said that he's not really a super vocal coach. He kind of sits back and watches from afar. But are your coaches kind of more engaged in the fight in terms of yelling out commands and things like that to you?
Yeah, James never shuts up when I'm fighting, and that's how I like it. I like knowing, he's right there. It makes me, anytime I'm fighting with James, it makes me feel like it's 2-on-1, not 1-on-1. He's always saying encouraging stuff. He's always telling me what to do. And I know that he can see things that I can't see, like he gets the outside view. He gets the television view, he knows how much time is left, what this guy's doing. And he's so smart. His fight IQ is so high. It's really nice having a coach that, can walk you through step by step. And I think it's a blessing, man.
Yeah, I think once he's done fighting, I think he's going to be one of the best coaches to do it, in my opinion. He's going to be up there with like Firas Zahabi and Whitman and Dean Thomas and guys like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think he is now. I just think that he's a little less known than those guys. And because, like you said, because he's fighting, it almost takes away from his coaching a little bit. So he's known for both. But I really feel like once he's done fighting, he'll take off. But I'm telling you right now, man, I spend every day with the dude, and I think he's the best coach in MMA right now.
Mm-hmm. He's a dope guy for sure. So when you got this fight, what was going through your head? Did you want someone else, or is this the guy that you wanted?
Originally, we wanted to fight somebody in the top 15. We wanted to fight Arnold Allen, and that is the fight that we are going to be campaigning for next. But really, it was about getting another win. With this whole pandemic going on, beggars can't be choosers. They could have put whoever they wanted in front of me. I was going to accept the fight. Whether it's a tough fight, an easy fight, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. You don't know when you're going to fight again, and I'm here to fight, man. I'm here to be ranked by the end of this year, and that goal is not going to change. So we're going to get through NAD, and then we're going to shoot for the top 15. But NAD comes first.
Yeah, 100%. How do you feel that you match up with him?
Man, I feel like I match up well with everybody. It's kind of cliche, but I think I'm the best in the division. And so anybody who isn't me, I think I'm going to do well against. He's pretty well-rounded. I will say that out of everybody that I've fought so far, I've fought a lot of specialists. I feel like he's very well-rounded. He's not afraid to strike. He's not afraid to wrestle. He's not afraid to play jiu-jitsu. So I think that he does have a unique skill set in being he's pretty good everywhere. He's I would say a B- fighter everywhere, which makes him A- fighter overall. But the issue is he's fighting one of the best guys in the world, and I'm going to prove that July 18th.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about this, and I saw your Instagram post. I think it was earlier today, right? About kind of your plan going forward. So you want Arnold Allen after this fight, considering you get the win, which I think you will. But who would you want after that?
Man, there's a list of names. Anybody who's ranked higher than me, is who I'm going after. Right now, NAD is my number one priority. But I'm from wrestling. I'm used to wrestling 5-6 guys in one day and not looking past people, but being prepared for the next matchup. And I think that a fight with Arnold Allen is the fight that's really going to push me through. And people are going to be like, wow, this kid's, legit. After that, I don't know. Let's focus on NAD first. Then if we get the Arnold Allen fight, we'll focus on after we beat him what to do next. But for right now, all my focus is on NAD, and we're going to get this done.
Yeah. I mean, I think you should have been ranked after your last fight in February because you just put a pace on people and they just kind of just drown. I think you're a bad matchup for literally everybody in the division. You look at a lot of the 45 guys right now, a lot of them are more stand-up oriented, striking, and you're just going to drive right through them, in my opinion.
I appreciate it, man. That's in wrestling. I wasn't very good at wrestling, but I could keep a pace, right? I would always lose the first 2 periods and then pin them in the third because they were just so dog tired because I would just go. Now I've got skill, behind that, and I can actually implement game plans with my pace. So it's actually really nice. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, man.
Yeah, for sure. Why do you think that you kind of haven't been ranked thus far in your career? Because you're 50. You look at your resume. You're 15-1. You're destroying everybody. You're on a 6-fight winning streak. I think you should be ranked for sure.
I think there's two guys in the division who aren't ranked that should be. Myself and Bryce Mitchell. The rankings right now at 145 have two people that shouldn't be ranked, and that's Jose Aldo and Frankie Edgar. And it's not because those guys aren't amazing. They absolutely are. But they're both 30 fighters. Aldo is not only fought at 35, he is now fighting for the title at 135. Why is he still in the rankings, right? Frankie Edgar, he's not fought at 35 yet, but he does have a fight scheduled at 135. I think they need to be taken out of the rankings, and I think that Bryce Mitchell and I need to be put in the rankings. Now, that being said, I don't think it's going to matter here in a couple of months. I think that I'm going to run through NAD, and then I'm going to get somebody ranked and run through them too. So it really doesn't make any difference to me. I get paid the same whether there's a number next to my name or not.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of referenced it a minute ago, but for people that didn't see, talk about the Instagram post that you posted earlier today about kind of your plan from now until when you want to become champion.
Man, if I could fight for the title tomorrow, I would. But my goal is to be ranked by the end of 2020 in the top 15, ranked in the top 10 by the end of 2021, top 5 by 2022, and champion by 2023.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to do. I think you're going to do that. I think you're going to be champion before that. But
that'd be nice.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
So what? Yeah. How do you feel about all the great the card right before you guys? Because you're the 15th, right?
Yep. No, we're the 18th.
You're the 18th. So the week before you guys, you got 3 title fights, and then just an insanely stacked card. How do you feel about that card? How do you see the 3 title fights playing out?
I see Petr Yan becoming the new champion at 135 and staying there for a while. I see Usman beating Burns, although I hope Burns wins. I like him a lot. I really hope that Burns gets it done, but I just think Usman's too good for him. And then who's the third fight? Volkanovski, Max Holloway. I see Volkanovski winning 50-45. I just think that he's a better fighter than Max. I think that he's going to be champion for a while. I think there's one guy in the division that can beat him, and that's me.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Hopefully you can beat him. Hopefully you get up there pretty soon, and no one else takes the shine away from you. But so there was a fight last night in your division, Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos. It was an insane fight. Josh Emmett got the job done. What were your impressions of that?
Man, both those guys are amazing. I really try not to become a fan of people in my division, because I know I can compete with all these guys and I know I can beat all of them. It's just so hard not to become a fan of Shane Burgos. The dude is a fan-friendly fighter. He always comes forward. He comes to fight. I'm a huge fan of Shane Burgos. I was really hoping he was going to win. I did, however, think that Emmett was just going to have a little too much power for him. I think that Shane is the better fighter, but I think power beat precision that night. And man, I would love to see it again. If they run it back, I'll pay for it every time. I would also like to see them in a 5-round fight. I think 5 rounds plays better for Shane as well. But I don't know, man. It's a great fight, and it's great for the sport.
Mm-hmm. I was leaning with Josh Emmett. He's the first fighter I've had on to then compete after. So UFC fighters are 1-0 after coming on the podcast. So hopefully you can continue that trend. But I have no clue how Burgos didn't go out last night. He got hit with some bombs.
Yeah, man, hard shots. I think that him understanding that the only way Josh was going to beat him, or at least in his mind, was to knock him out. So I think that, mentally being ready to be hurt and mentally being ready for those big shots played a big part of it. Also, after he did get hit, there was no panic, no frenzy. He just controlled the wrists, stayed in the positions that he needed to stay in. A lot of big fight IQ there for somebody who's young and doesn't have as many fights or as much experience as you would think. And that's not to say that he isn't a very experienced young man. It's just, you usually don't see when people face adversity like that, they usually crumble and don't think clearly. And he was sharp as a tack.
Yeah. So kind of going off your point about adversity, there was an incident in the first fight of the night. Max Rohskopf, I don't know how to say his name. He was fighting Austin Hubbard, and he was telling his corner, like, end it, I'm done. And his corner was trying to convince him to keep going. As a fighter, how did you feel about watching that?
If you don't want to fight, don't fight. When he said that I want to be done, that's the end of it. The thing that upsets me is that everybody is going off on his coach for not immediately stopping the fight. And, one thing that we have to realize is that the coach's job is to not stop the fight. When you sign up for MMA, when you walk in the door, you ask 2 questions to your coach. Can you make me better at fighting? And can you get me to the goals that I want to get to, whether that's UFC, Bellator, whatever. Nobody walks in and says, can you make me better at fighting? Can you get me to where I want to go? Oh, and will you stop the fight if things are starting to get hard? Not to mention, it's not like, Max was tired, and fatigue makes cowards of men, and I get that, but that was 1-1. The rule has always kind of been you save your fighter when he can no longer win the fight. So if it's 1-1, he wasn't even taking that big of a beating. Of course his coach should try to convince him, no, man, you got this. Also, that was Max's debut in the UFC. He has 5 fights. He doesn't have a big fan base. His coach was thinking about what happens tomorrow, because I guarantee you, say whatever you want about what his coach should have done, or if the fighter's body is done, listen to your body, don't judge him. Sean Shelby doesn't give a fuck about your body or what you're thinking about. He's going to put you up against a stud next, or he's just going to cut you. Like, you have 5 fights, bro. Like, you don't have any room to be quitting on the stool. And I'm not saying don't. If you want to be done, that's fine. But I think that, reprimanding his coach for trying to save his career, that's just ridiculous. We live in a world right now where it's, as soon as things become difficult, let's give up. And if anybody tells you not to give up, they're stupid and they're wrong. And that's just ridiculous. This is a pussy-ass world we live in where we reprimand somebody for trying to get you not to give up. The dude was not in trouble. I've been in fights before. I've had 3 times the amount of fights that guy's had. It wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. He didn't take that much damage. I would like to see the punch count, because I guarantee you the punch count is not that high. And it's just ridiculous that all these sissies on the internet are talking about, his coach should be suspended or reprimanded. I guarantee you Max, or whatever his name is either going to be cut after this fight, or he's going to be given a stud, lose that fight, and then get cut. And that's what his coach was trying to save him from. And these idiots on the internet who are all about safety and whatnot. Yeah, I'm done.
We got you all riled up.
Yeah,
I love it.
I've been thinking about this all day, actually.
It's good you finally got to let it out. From like a fan's perspective, I didn't actually watch the fight. I was doing something downstairs, and then I came up afterwards, and I was like, I can't say that I wouldn't have quit, but I feel like my mindset, I would have just kept going. And you saying it was 1-1, I agree with his coach, just trying to convince him, because I know people have a lot of different things going through their head when they're in that octagon. And, I haven't really seen a whole lot of people saying that his coach should be suspended, but I think that's kind of ridiculous. You guys had a kind of a similar incident-ish with Anthony Smith a couple a couple weeks ago or a month ago now, and Krause let him go. And I think that, and Anthony said that if they would have stopped the fight, he would have fired all of his coaches. So I think that just speaks to the mindset of 90% of the fighters. They want to go out on their own shield.
Yeah, man, the other thing is too, like, we're grown ass men, you know, like, if Anthony wants to go out there and continue fighting, let him fight. And the biggest thing about that fight is, when did it become a coach's job to stop a fight? Let's say the fight should be stopped. That's the referee or the doctor's job. There are 3 people who can stop a fight: the fighter, the ref, and the doctor. That's it. Like, this concept that, like, the coaches need to throw in the towel, I don't even think that's technically in the rules, you know? Not to mention, you know, James got beat up about that online, and Mark got beat up about that online. The week before that, Justin Gaethje was beating the dog shit out of Tony Ferguson, and everybody loved it. No one cared. Tony literally got hit so hard, the dude, like, he started shaking his head and walking around like a gorilla. Like, that dude has brain damage now. But because Anthony, you know, a couple of teeth came loose, everybody's losing their mind about it. And Anthony is a grown-ass man, one of the best in the world. This is his livelihood. Let the dude fight. And if you're going to get mad at somebody, get mad at the referee and the doctor, not the coaches. I don't understand how that's a thing. I don't understand why people are going crazy over this. And especially, like, if we're so worried about safety, that's the thing that everybody, it's the fighter's health, the fighter's health. There have been 0 deaths in the UFC. 0. McDonald's kills people every single day, and nobody's out there, you know, boycotting McDonald's because it's fucking delicious. Like, you see what I'm like? If everybody's so worried about health and safety, you know, start somewhere else than a sport that is meant. This is cage fighting. Fighting. There are more deaths in football, more deaths in boxing, and all these sports other than cage fighting. Yet everybody's freaking out about, you know, Anthony Smith losing a couple of teeth. You know, it's just it's crazy to me, and it's crazy that you would attack the coaches over the referee or the doctor. Like, if the fight needs to be stopped, the referee or the doctor will stop the fight. Point blank. That's it. If any of my coaches ever stopped a fight, like Anthony said, they would be fired immediately. You know, whatever.
Yeah. I like that rant, though. I mean, I think a part of it, though, is, like, you and Anthony are just complete savages. So you guys want to go out on your own shield. And then I think other fighters may be a little softer than you guys. So they might want to throw in, like, Pettis has thrown in the towel a couple times, I think. When he fought Tony, it was 1-1. He broke his hand and he was done. And then there's another instance where he kind of pulled out too. But I don't know. It is kind of a tricky situation in terms of the fans' perspective and a coach's perspective compared to the fighter's perspective. And I've heard a lot of people online, especially fighters, talking about you shouldn't be bitching at the coach, pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. And the issue, like you mentioned, you know, guys not being as tough as me and Anthony. The issue, none of the fighters are saying shit. None of the fighters are saying anything about either situation. It's the media. It's Ariel Helwani. It's you know, these fat kids with Cheeto stains in their mom's basements getting online talking about, you know, what should happen. Like, you've never worked hard a day of your life. Don't chip in. I bet you've never been punched in the face. Don't chip in on something you don't understand. You know, go eat McDonald's, go watch football, do whatever you want to do, but don't be chipping in about this or that or the other, about, you know, who should have done what or what coach should have stopped what. Like, get fucked, nerd.
I've never had anyone go off like this on the podcast before, and I fucking love it.
There's first time for everything.
All right, man. I got to get going, but I really appreciate you coming on. It was really fun. Probably my most fun podcast so far.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
For sure. I want to wish you good luck in July, and I'll be pulling for you, man.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Peace out, everybody.